Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Mr. and Lady viewing at home, thank you all so much for tuning into Kinetic Aesthetic. The day is not Tuesday, it's Wednesday, but it is still time for another edition of Sports Talk. Now, on this edition of Sports Talk, it is going to be just me, myself, yours truly, talking at you. I am your host with the mostest. Y'all know my name, Jerm. And today what we're going to be doing, we're going to be going all over the Knicks NBA Finals win, talking about what it means going forward for not only the Knicks, but the Spurs as well, going over just how that series went for all of them. We'll talk about what the Spurs can learn from this loss, how the type of decisions that they shouldn't make and things like that. And when it comes to the Knicks, we're going to just be giving our credit where the credit is due to everybody who was involved on this because, listen, you win a title for the city of New York in over 50 years. You deserve a lot of credit and support. Not only that, we're going to be discussing the latest in the NFL news. We unfortunately do have some sad news that we're going to be discussing and we're going to be talking about. But not only that, we've got Brandon Aiyuk. Pretty much, we got some 49ers. It's a very 49ers-centric episode when it comes to the NFL talk. We got the sad news of Aldon Smith happening and his passing. Not only that, we got Brandon Aiyuk and everything that's going on with him. So I need all of y'all to do the usual. Go and get yourself some snacks. Go and get yourself some drinks. Get comfortable. Prop those feet up because very shortly after I get done with this little spiel, Connecticut State is going to be coming right at you with nothing but the best of sports talk. Ladies and gentlemen, the Knicks are your NBA champions. They did it after the long drought, after 50 years of New York waiting. They finally got the job done. Jalen Brunson, the captain clutch, was able to succeed. He was able to take it home. Game 5 was magical because in a game where the rest of the team, really outside of Mikal Bridges, was not showing up, was not having their best shooting nights, was not having their best nights, period, Jalen Brunson brought it home, 45 points. It was amazing. They came down from another double-digit deficit. And listen, we're going to start off by focusing on the Knicks and everything that they accomplished. This has to be celebrated. You have to give the Knicks respect from the top down, from James Dolan. Yes, I know a lot of us don't like him as an owner. I know he has head-ass ways, but damn it, he put together the right team. The reports are he went into there at the beginning of the playoffs, gave him a nice speech and told him just, hey, don't handle shit in the media, handle everything with a direct conversation. I really believe in this group, and they succeeded. After being down 2-1 in their first round series against the Atlanta Hawks, come back, they win about 15 games straight. This is going to be one of those playoff runs that is talked about for a long time. And listen, I don't know exactly where to start when it comes to just giving the shout outs to the players and coaches themselves, but I want to start with Mike Brown just because this guy has been coaching for a long fucking time. Like, this was LeBron's coach when they went to the finals in 2007 against the Spurs and got swept. I hope whoever is, I don't know if y'all are going to be able to hear this siren post-edit, but it's very loud. But Mike Brown, for as much as he has had to deal with in his career, for as long as he's been coaching, as many different situations as he's been to, for him to come from coaching the Kings, from being the coach of De'Aaron Fox and pretty much losing his job because him and De'Aaron Fox couldn't really coexist, to beating him in the finals, to being able to overcome the Spurs organization that gave him his start. I just really think this guy deserves so much credit. He's been a great coach for a long time. And this is one of those coaching jobs that is going to be able to give him that credit for a long, long time. Listen, you can win titles for a lot of different cities, but you win the first title for New York City in over 50 years, they're going to build a fucking statue for you. Not just him as the coach. Like I said, we got Brunson, who got one on the way. Cat's got one on the way. OG is going to have his statue. And you know what? Since we're done talking about Mike Brown, I just want to go and start on the players. Let's have a big round of applause for Karl Anthony Towns. For him to come from the situation that he came from, for him to have the reputation that he had, being known, honestly, listen, he wasn't just called Cat because of his initials. It was because people thought he was a pussy. People thought Karl Anthony Towns was a bitch. That was his reputation. He was bitch made. He was soft. He wasn't really somebody who could play physical. So for him, and listen, we don't even got to get started on the infamous practice with Jimmy Butler where he called him and Andrew Wiggins out in particular. For him, and not just him, Andrew already got his ring with the Warriors a couple years ago. For them to be able to come out and change the narrative on their careers, for them to be able to go out and handle shit, and Karl Anthony Towns to be the focal point, not the focal point, but literally the biggest player on that team besides Jalen Brunson is Cat. And without Cat, they don't win games 1 and 2. Without the way he was playing Wemby in those two opening games in San Antonio, we might be having a whole different scenario discussion when it comes to these finals. So Cat, he's earned the right. He's earned his respect. He's an NBA champion. He's no longer whatever the fuck they were trying to say about him. And listen, we can talk about all the other role players too. Mikal Bridges, giving up all those first round picks for him. I think all of that has turned out to be worth it. OG Anunoby, I never really heard too much bad about him, but for him to be able to come through, that tip-in is going to be remembered forever. Forever. Just the efforts that this man put in throughout this entire playoff run. Literally, the stats will tell you the truth. This man was shooting over 50% the entire series. He was money for the Knicks. You talk about literally so many other guys. Jose Alvarado coming out of nowhere to just be an NBA champion when he's really damn near, and even in his own words, shouldn't even be in the league. This team was special. This team was full of characters. They were full of guys that just had, and I almost didn't mention Josh Hart. Josh fucking Hart, the guy who on any given day can sometimes give you 20 points and sometimes going to give you 10 assists and 20 fucking rebounds. The guy who's going to just come out of here and just do whatever needs to be done for his team. It's, you gotta love this shit. You gotta love these Knicks. This is a special team, man. And then the captain himself, the guy who is the king of New York City for now and probably for the foreseeable future. Until the day this man retires, he's probably going to be able to do whatever the fuck he wants in New York. And probably even after he's retired, he's going to still have the fucking key to the city. I'm talking about Jalen Brunson. There's been so much that has been made about this man and his journey to this point. From him being on the Mavs, getting lowballed and taking that chance on himself. From him taking less to go with the Knicks because he believed that they could build up the team and he believed in the people that were making the decisions. To him having to overcome the doubters who on national TV are saying shit like, you can need a 1A to win and Jalen Brunson isn't that. This man has had a movie of a fucking year. He's had a movie of a year. It has been a movie of a career up to this point. You've got your father on the coaching staff teaching you, making you better. You don't really, they couldn't have written a script for this shit that would have been believable. And yet here we are. And then just the clutch shot after clutch shot, game 5 coming down to the wire as it did, him making that last little bucket to put them up ahead. I don't know if we'll ever see another year, another NBA champion that is going to be as made for TV, made for cinema as these Knicks. I have no real negatives to say about them. I have no, they're so hard to just dislike. Even watching them on Good Morning America, watching all these fucking Instagram lives of Mikal Bridges as he's drunk as shit going through just bigging up Jalen Brunson. They're such a lovable, admirable group of people, group of players. It's hard, man. It's hard. I'm a Chicago guy. I've never really hated on New York because they haven't really given me anything to really hate on. But listen, even if you're a Boston fan, even if you're a San Antonio fan, and listen, Knicks fans themselves, as I'm going to get into in a second, they were wilding out. So I can understand not liking the fan base, but it's really fucking hard to tell me that you dislike this squad of players. And again, Mike Brown is a coach too. He's likable. I got nothing but good things to say about these guys. It's been a while since we've had NBA champions that have been this likable, that have been this just, damn, I just want to see them succeed again. And we'll see. Maybe people are going to turn on them the way they turned on the Thunder. But listen, these guys aren't as TikTok-ish as the Thunder are. They don't give me that vibe. So I find it hard to believe that they're going to have to go through that same, little heel turn that the Thunder did. But yeah, man, shout out to the New York Knicks. Shout out to Brunson. Shout out to the whole squad over there. They did their thing. Shout out to Jeremy Sohan as well. Somebody who you might not really know his name unless you're a real hoop fan or you're somebody that's been paying attention. But for a guy that was waived by the Spurs, for him to come in and be able to join the team that ends up facing them in the finals and overcome them, and him being the guy to lock down Wemby on that last possession. Again, cinema, you cannot make this up. Shout out to these Knicks. Now, on the Spurs side of things, you have to give them a lot of admiration. You have to give them a lot of credit. Youngest team in the league, and yet here they are in this position. They had a double-digit lead in every single game of these finals. So this is not a case of them just being completely unprepared or not ready. They're young to the point where they don't know how to close. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing that they can't overcome. I think that this is just going to be a learning lesson for them. There's still a lot of positives to take away from it, and that they also could have been lessons as well. I guess I'll start with the biggest one. Dylan Harper is ready to start. Dylan Harper, the second overall pick in this draft in his rookie season, put on a show in these playoffs. When they needed him to come through, when they needed a game for him to give them buckets, he came through each time. And no more was it more apparent that this kid is a fucking superstar waiting to happen than this game 5. When everybody else on the team is just not really coming out, or not really showing up, when you've got Stephon Castle, who I'm a huge fan of, despite the turnovers and everybody wanting to just get on him during certain points of the playoff run, I think Stephon Castle has solidified his spot in their big three. And as we're going to get into it, he is definitely not the weak link. He just had a bad shooting night. He didn't really score any points until the fourth quarter when he had a putback. But all in all, the defense he was displaying, just the passion and the effort that he was showing out there on the court, he deserves a lot of credit. I'm a big fan of his leaving away from the series. But like I said, Dylan Harper, he is your number 2. Like, Wemby's going to be your number 1. There's no doubt about that. Dylan Harper, though, that man is going to be your number 2. He's going to be the guy that you need to, not trying to be in some fucking 6-man role. You're going to need to have him starting. And I guess the only way in order to facilitate that is going to have to be getting rid of their actual weak link. I'm talking about De'Aaron Fox. I am not going to focus on the whole terrible J.R. Smith-esque play he had at the end of game 4 when they blew the 29-point lead. Yeah, 29-point lead. And he, for some reason, when all they would have needed him to do was hold on to the ball to just take up time, he goes for a layup that was blocked by OG Anunoby. All I got to say is that maybe this was his first playoff run as well. This was his first real deep playoff run. So I know that some people are going to call for him to be traded immediately. They need to get rid of him. And I will agree that he definitely does not need to start. He should not be starting over. He should not be starting over Dylan Harper next year. That is just a non-negotiable, something that just cannot happen. However, I think that anyone who is saying that they just immediately need to get rid of him, that he needs to go, I just don't know if I necessarily agree with that. Now, with what I said earlier about him not being able to start over Dylan Harper, I stand by that. He needs to move to a 6-man role if he's going to stay on the team. Because I don't think he should be starting over Stephon Castle, and he damn sure it should not be starting over Dylan Harper anymore. Now, if he is to start trying to do some pissy pouty shit where he just says, I don't want to do that, I am not willing to move over and become a 6-man or have Dylan Harper start over me, then I will say you need to get rid of him. You need to sort of figure out a team that's going to be able to take on him and that big-ass contract. But I still think he's a very talented player. Still think he's really fucking good. And if he is willing to suck up his ego, if he is willing to just let go of the pride that is going to prevent him from seeing what is for the betterment of this team, then I see no reason why you wouldn't keep him if he's willing to accept that 6-man rule. I think you still have a couple years before the money situation gets to be too much. And there's no real reason to say that, hey, we can't run this back next year. And if De'Aaron Fox is able to make better decisions, be better in the clutch, hold it down, or just, not think that he needs to be the guy that is leading us more so than Wemby or whatever, then yeah, I think he can stay on the team. I also don't know who's going to be able to take that contract. I don't know who's going to be willing to. I've saw it brought up that you can't really bench him because that ruins his trade value, which I somewhat agree with. And so I'm of this opinion. If you can get him to see what's better for the betterment of the team, yeah, you trade it, you keep him on, you move him into the 6-man spot. You'll worry about trading him and doing all that shit later. I think that it will be worth it in the end if you get a ring when you have all this talent on your team. But if he is not able to, if he is stuck on the pride of the ego of, hey, I'm a star, I should be the one starting, I should be doing all this, then yeah, no, you got to get rid of him, because right now he's the albatross. And don't get it twisted. Wemby could have been a lot better in those finals. He could have had a lot more stamina. He could have been finishing games a lot better, not getting so gassed. Like I said, Stephon Castle could have been better in certain points. It was a team effort losing. But De'Aaron Fox was the noticeable weak link during the most important times. And you just can't have that happen. You just can't have that type of shit going down. And so it's gonna be up to Pop and everybody in that Spurs organization to really figure out how they're going to move forward. Now, the other person I want to have some conversation about, some discussion, is Mitch Johnson. Mitch Johnson, their coach, he is new. He is the handpicked successor by Pop. And it is because of that I think that anyone who was calling for him to be fired, for him to be canned over the way these finals went, yes, I know it was embarrassing. Yes, I know they blew a 29-point lead, biggest in playoff history. But I don't think that you overreact by getting rid of him. I think that is honestly probably one of the worst things you can do. It is not a good idea. All you're going to be doing is proving that you are moving base. It's basically the equivalent of the Buffalo Bills firing their coach because they saw some of the players crying in the locker room after a tough loss. It happens. It is hard to break through. Parity in this league has been difficult for such a long, has been so tight for such a long time that we've been getting a new NBA champion every single year since 2019. With all that being said, you still have the youngest team in the league that made it to the finals. I know everybody wants to talk about how nothing is guaranteed, how you can't really be certain or be sure that you're going to make it back, but I still think that you are making a very big overreaction if you are making whole changes to the coaching staff and things like that based off of how these finals went. Mitch Johnson is going to be fine. He's going to grow. He's going to get better. I brought it up when I was talking about Mike Brown earlier. This man got swept by Pop when he was first starting out as a coach for the Cavs, when he had LeBron in 2007. It took time for him to become the coach that he is with the Knicks. Mitch Johnson is going to be fine. You have all the talent that you have. You have the fucking people in the not in the owner's box, in the GM spot and in all these other roles that are making these choices. They're drafting well. You just have to trust the process. Word to 76ers. Trust the process. Give it time. Don't make emotional overreactions, because that is the one way that you close your window before it even gets opened. I have a lot of faith and I have a lot of confidence that not only is Mitch Johnson going to get better as a coach because of all the blown double-digit leads and everything like that, I believe that all of this happening is going to make them a very serious problem, not just coaching-wise, but player-wise for a while. I know everybody has these real reasons to worry and that teams don't come back from this type of setback and things like that. But I don't think Wemby's that type of player that's going to grow complacent, that's going to not learn from this. And I have too much faith in the Spurs organization. They've earned that. They've earned the right to give them that type of faith, to give them that type of confidence. They're going to figure this shit out. You've got Tim Duncan, who is still heavily involved. You've got Pop still there. I don't even necessarily know who the fuck their owner is, but that dude does a good job because that team just consistently is making the right decisions, making the right choices. So Spurs fans, don't overreact. Please don't think that you need to make any crazy moves over in the offseason. If you can find a way to get off De'Aaron Fox that is going to work, that's going to not involve you having to throw picks in there or just, not really get the value that you should, then yes, do it. But if you have to hold on to De'Aaron Fox and just trust this team to come back and run it back and be better, I don't think that's a bad choice. I don't think that's a bad decision. I think you're going to be fine. OKC, yeah, I think they're going to get better. But I see no reason to think that a Spurs team with another year under their belt, if they really start giving them minutes in the regular season so that they can get accustomed and be ready for the playoff and be playoff conditioned by the time they roll around, I have no real reason to doubt that the Spurs team is not going to be able to just repeat and do what they did. I already don't necessarily know if the East is going to be, we don't know what's going to happen in the East. I still have faith in the Knicks that they can just come back and be stronger. I see no real reason why they can't. But we don't know what's going to happen with Giannis. We don't know what's going to happen with Jalen Brown on the Celtics. There's still a lot of moving pieces. So I'm still inclined to believe that the West is going to be heavily favored to win this next year's finals, and I don't see a reason to bet against it. And I say all that to say, Spurs fans, don't overreact. Don't make any crazy decisions if you're in ownership or you're in the managerial positions. Trust the process. Trust Wemby. Trust Harper. And trust your coach. All right, one story that we have to touch on that I wanted to just speak about right quick is this whole Brandon Aiyuk story. For all those of you who don't know, he was a wide receiver with the 49ers. He's technically still employed by them, but they had some type of dispute after he had a torn ACL. He was supposed to rehab in the facility, and that was all he had to do to really honor his contract. He didn't for whatever reason, and ever since then, it has just been this little standstill, just line in the sand between him and the 49ers organization, and it's gotten ugly. He's recently just been pretty much going to social media after such a long time of quietness. This was after months and months of not saying anything. And the videos that this man has been uploading, just the clips of him just dancing around in robes, just talking shit about the organization, calling them dumb for paying him. It's weird. I don't know what he's been trying to really get accomplished with it. This is the type of situation where the ball is just not in his court. The 49ers do have most of the leverage. They still pretty much have controlled him for a whole bunch of years. So I don't know exactly what Brandon Aiyuk is going for. They're set to release him before the start of the new year, before the start of training camp, the last reports I saw. So what I really wanted to just say when it comes to Brandon Aiyuk is that I hope that this man is able to get some help. I hope that someone's able to reach out to him. We've already had people like Jarvis Landry, who's a former teammate of his at LSU, reaching out, trying to, just figure out what's going on. And I don't think anybody's really been able to get a hold of him or been able to really get in contact with him. And it's sad because this seems to me, it's been reminding me of Antonio Brown to a lesser degree, not as egregious, especially with the off the field shit that he's been doing. He's really just releasing social media videos. There was one video of him speeding dangerously past the 49ers stadium, but other than that, I don't really know if he's been doing anything too crazy in his regular life. He's just been unstable. I think that's the best word to use to describe this man's behavior and how he's been acting. And so I I hope he's able to get some help, because right now I don't know any team that's going to want to touch this guy with a 10-foot pole. That is how just erratic and unstable the videos he's been releasing and just been dropping up and been giving off energy like that. Even if I was a wide receiver needy team, and thank God the Bears aren't, I would not want to touch this guy with a 10-foot pole right now. He's giving off like diet AB, and diet AB is a good thing because you don't want to go full AB, but he's giving off a lot of just very, something's wrong with this nigga and he needs to get his mind checked vibe. So I hope that Brandon Aiyuk is able to get some help. I hope he's able to really get whatever he has going on with him figured out, because this is sad to see. Somebody who's like throwing away their career, throwing away their livelihood, and he's doing this in ways that are just unnecessary. All you had to do was go to the rehab and you would have gotten paid by the 49ers. All you had to do was hold up your end of the bargain when it comes to your rehab and your recovery, and you might still be having this impasse with the 49ers, but damn it, you wouldn't have avoided so much of the money. But yeah, Brandon Aiyuk, I'm hoping he gets it together. Alrighty, so we do have to end this episode of Sports Talk by discussing a more somber news story, that being the passing of former NFL Pro Bowler Aldon Smith. Aldon played for 10 years in the NFL. He got drafted by the 49ers back in 2011 with the 7th overall pick. Immediately had a massive impact, having a great rookie season. He was a force of nature on the football field, and sadly, he just could never really outrun or overcome his personal demons. Even while he was with the 49ers, he just started to find himself in legal trouble. Followed him when he ended up getting released after a hit and run. He started playing with the Raiders. Same type of stuff followed him there, and that was pretty much the story of his NFL career. Substance abuse issues, the cause of which we really have no clue to this day. Aldon Smith just had a lot of personal demons, a lot of stuff that he was dealing with that I don't know if he ever was really able to come to terms with, to really figure out. And it's just incredibly sad. This man was only 36. It's the age of when a lot of guys retire, when they start to live that second half of their lives, when life after football really begins. And sadly, he is not going to be able to get that. My thoughts and my prayers go out to his family, his loved ones, to anybody that was his teammates, anybody that knew him personally. It's what really got me as I was reading the story, as I got the news, was not only just the suddenness of it, the sadness, and just the shockingness of how quickly it happened. This is literally just like a couple weeks after I just saw one of my favorite sports content creators, Flimlo Raps. You want to know who I'm talking about? He made a video about Aldon Smith, detailing and chronicling all of the troubles that this man had and just how it was a miracle that he had overcome everything and gotten to the point where he was at, where he was starting to try to use all of his struggles to help other people sort of learn from his mistakes. And so for me to watch that video, to get a better understanding of what he had went through in his life and what he was, and how he was trying to become better, how he was trying to, use all the shit that he learned to help other people, for him to really get taken away on a day when he had just been trying to go feed the homeless. He had just delivered a whole bunch of food, pizzas to them, and then to just get found unresponsive. Life is unfair. Life is unfair, and it just reminds me that sometimes even when you get clean, when you sort of are working and you're putting in that work to make yourself a better person, to change your life and your ways, sometimes if all of the shit that you did, all of that just wear and tear that you put in your body. I'm not talking about sports. I'm talking about the substances that we can abuse, that we can just put in ourselves. Sometimes all of that shit just has a cost and a toll that you don't pay until well after you are far removed from the addiction, well after you are far removed from the worst of your abuse of it. It's like how you can do steroids. Somebody like Eddie Guerrero, one of my favorite wrestlers growing up, he had already gotten clean from his addiction to pills and the steroids, yet just all of the shit that it had done to his body after a while, down some years down the line, It caused him, it just took him. And I don't know the full details of what happened with Aldon Smith just yet. We don't know the cause of death or anything like that. Only thing I was able to figure out was that he had went to a friend's house who he'd been feeding the homeless with, and that friend found him unresponsive. That is all that we know as of this point. And so all I can hope is that preferably that this is just something that came and got him long after. I would hate that he fell back into it. But at the end of the day, this is just sad no matter what. Aldon Smith still had so much more to give to the world. He had so much more to offer. I hate when I see somebody that is genuinely making that change, when they are genuinely going through that process of becoming a better person, when sadly it just, for lack of a better term, it's too late. Make sure that you tell your people that you love them. Make sure, especially if you have somebody that is going through it, whether that be substance abuse, whether that be mental health shit, whether that be anything, make sure that you try your best to be there for them. I'm not saying sacrifice at the behest of yourself, but damn it, do what you can to try to make sure that you are there to hold them down, to help them out, because it's not easy. And you don't know when that person is going to be called up. You don't know, even if they do succeed and get clean, you don't know if down the line, years removed from it, if it's just going to come and take them away. So you got to cherish these people while they're here, appreciate them, embrace them, and just do what you can to just show them love and show them support. Rest in peace to Aldon Smith, gone way too soon. And my thoughts and my prayers are to anybody that's been affected, anybody that knew him, teammates, coaches, especially family. You are in my thoughts. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another edition of Sports Talk. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in once again and checking us out. Make sure, if you haven't already, make sure that you like, follow, subscribe, do whatever you have to do so that you are up to date on our platform and whenever we drop new shit. Make sure that if you are checking us out on YouTube, make sure you hype up that video so that it gets boosted into the algorithm. It means a lot, and it's going to help us grow and get that subscriber count up. We're trying to get it to over 100 by my birthday. We are a little over a month away, so let's go ahead and get some work put in on that. And other than that, just make sure you continue to be good people. Make sure you drink a lot of water. Make sure you tell your friends and family that you love them. And above all else, just continue to be the best version of yourself possible. This has been Kinetic Aesthetic. This has been your boy Germ. I'm out of here, and I hope that y'all have a good rest of your Wednesday.